Now this video on blocking about the proper amount of black to use. If you will look closely how much, I know the light isn't real good, but how much black speckle I have on the gray primer here. That's about right, but you should use lacquer. The reason is because you can either use lacquer or enamel. You could buy that, but the primer is lacquer based, and it seems like it takes a lot harder effort to get the black dots off the gray primer if it's enamel. Now what I've done over here, we're getting down into the nitty-gritty of looking at the fine points of getting the panel ready to paint and knowing what to look for. Now what I've done here is I've done a little bit on this edge where I have the scratches with the 1000 grit sandpaper right here, and I've done a lot on this area right here. There's a whole lot of things to look at. Remember what I told you about the edges. Now I've taken that sandpaper and gone from here all the way over to here, and you can see that I tried staying off the edges, but it's burned through to the black here. And if you look right down here, I've only done a little bit on this area, but it's already started to burn through on the edges. Now when we talk about paint placement, let's take a look at the way paint works. Say this edge right here, okay? We're gonna shoot the paint right here. Just say we're gonna shoot it here or here or here with this piece sitting the way it is. Now think about gravity for a moment. I spray here, I spray over here, I spray the top, it's all beautiful. Where do you think the thinnest part of that paint is going to be? Well, let's say gravity makes everything move downhill. Therefore, gravity is going to pull that paint down this way and down this way. This will be the thinnest area. Therefore, if you burn through your paint to your primer surface, you're screwed. You're screwed, glued, and tattooed. You got to stop and repaint it. That is why you do not want, you want to stay off those damn edges with the sandpaper, because all the edges are extremely thin, and even if you know what you're doing, you can burn through. Now if this were all gray paint right here, and I burned through to the body, okay, I'm done. I have to repaint the whole thing. Now as a professional painter, you begin to think like the paint and learn how much paint you can put on, what the characteristics of the paint are drying, and how much you can get away with. There may be about 10% you can play with as far as being careful. But with the blocking, like I said, on the blocking, which is the speckled black paint, you can see where your high and your low spots are. Okay? Now, when you go to block, you should do your big panels first, your big flat panels, and then go on to your smaller flat areas and do your edges that could burn through here or here last. Okay? Now, as you put the paint on, or the let's say the primer, you can put a 1/4 inch of primer on here if you had enough time and you wanted to put that much primer on. But as a painter, in your back of your mind, you realize how much primer you've put on during the whole job, and how much you've taken off, and how much leeway you're going to have. Now you can see right here, this is another small area that's going to be done. These inside areas don't matter as much because they're not really going to be seen. You're going to see this area, this bottom area, this back, and probably not the front. Now, this, in painting, we have to know what to look for. If you look very closely, I've used a flat pad over this whole thing to get it flat. It doesn't have to be totally smooth. You can get away with a little bit of roundness. But it has to flow so the eye doesn't catch it. Now if you look right here, you can see where the spot putty is a high spot, and right around it is a halo of dark. That shows that I'm cutting pretty close to the inner area. Same here. You can see the body panel right here. Now down here, what I've done is, you can't see it that well, but I've run my hands over this area, and I can feel a little divot. A divot is like a pop pimple in there. I can't see it that well, but I know it's there. And I know how much the black paint will cover and how much it will hide. And so what I will do on this back panel is I will spend most of my time this fender and this fender on the areas that I'm going to see with my eye. And I'm not going to worry so much about the inner areas that could be covered. But this is with the blocking taken mostly off, and this other side is with the blocking taken about halfway off, as you can see. And if you look very closely where the black speckles are not, that's the areas that I've taken off that are high or low. Now what we want to look for is if there is a big rip of black dots, then we know that's a low spot, and that's not going to be very good. But as you're getting better and better at painting, you'll be able to feel the paint, you'll be able to feel the temperature with your hands, excuse me, and the humidity, and you'll be able to look at a project and say to yourself, okay, I know how it's going to turn out. I know how it's going to look blue or purple or hot chrome or whatever you want, and I also know how much work I have to put into it to make it look professional. Not show quality, but just so that it doesn't look Mickey Mouse, like somebody's taken 3 or 4 cans of cheap Krylon and had a couple cases of beer and decided they were going to upgrade their bike with a paint job. So I know these videos may be long, but I only plan to make them once, and I don't edit at all. None of my videos are edited. I don't know how to edit, so it's just the way it is. So my next step is, when you see the black on here, now this is very important. We always use black as a blocking. They usually use a black, or they'll use a red color. I like black better. It's got a better contrast. But if you do put the black blocking on something like this, you want to make sure that you take your sandpaper and you sand it all the way off. Because the reason for that is, if you need to put on 2 or 3 more coats of primer, and then you have to block it again, which you may or may not do, depending, but if you have to, then you want to know that the top coat that you blocked with the black is the coat you're taking off, and not 3 coats under this where you didn't take this black off, and you keep sanding on it. I think you can understand what I'm saying. So that's where we're at right now, and I've taken the most of the high spots off of this. You can see right down there on the edge, that's all orange peel. Now some of that I can get away with, some of it I can't. But I want to make this panel as smooth as possible before I go and really paint it. Every one of those little tiny shiny areas that you see is paint that has been, and all that shiny area, those pits, those are all low spots. And so the smoother your panel is before you go to put the final color on, the better it will be. And I should not be painting it in this weather or this coldness. I should be painting it in an 85-degree shop, but I don't have one. But I hope that you can gather some information from my videos. And go and watch other people's videos and they'll help you too. Okay, we'll continue.